Hello, everyone. Today is a fantastic day. We have our first Candid Creoles conversation with a Creole that is not Haitian born. She was born in Guadeloupe. Hello, Kristel.
From shores to shores, across oceans and islands, a new culture was born. The Creole culture.
Welcome to Candid Créoles.
Can you
Thank
tell
you.
us a little bit about yourself?
Of course. So thank you so much for having me on the show and sharing who I am, where I'm from. And I'm actually going to start with my background because it's like, I think when people look at the camera, they're like, what's this that she has behind her? So I'm going to start with this one right here, spread your wings and fly. So for me, it represents the butterfly, the island of Guadeloupe. So Guadeloupe is the shape of a butterfly. And I'm in a transformational mindset. So to me, that's also the representation of that transformation that I'm constantly going through transitions in of our life. So that's really why I have spread your wings and fly. My roots, Guadeloupe, and also being in the US for 30 years now. So actually, I spent most of my life more in the US than I have where I was born and raised, Guadeloupe. And on the right hand side, you probably can see the Eiffel Tower. So Guadeloupe is still a dependence of France. So I actually found this in like a Goodwill. My environment right now, I'm in an RV. So I had to decorate it and I found that and I thought that was perfect to also represent in the light and the colors. I love flowers. I love, as you have the hibiscus, which actually is part of, is I love representation, hibiscus of my
Ah, hibiscus is a very big deal for us in Haiti. I grew up with playing this with the hibiscus flower, and we also do tea with it. We do medicine with it, so it's very well known in Haiti as well.
Awesome. So that was actually a gift from my boyfriend who we think of the hibiscus as a place for us to come to peaceful, like you talk about medicine. So I didn't know that it was part of it that could actually be used for medicine. Um so anyway, so that's a little bit of my environment and Rotary also as a Rotarian. So I love to be of service. And that's why for people who recognize the symbol, the word Rotary, for people to either ask about it or to connect and relate in that aspect. So um I am the daughter of my mom and has my brother and I, so and I have other five siblings from my dad. So I am a hybrid family from divorce. And the reason I actually mention that is because it's part of my business as well. In my growth in my business, I've had to learn a little bit more about what did divorce do to me or for me. So, anyways, before I go into all that, though, I just wanted to still say, raised in Guadeloupe, and although definitely American also, because 30 years, my career, schooling, I went to Georgia State University and lived in Atlanta for 26 years, and then moved to Fort Lauderdale, and yeah, so I don't know what you want to ask me next. I think that's a good start.
Well, thanks for sharing. I'm looking at the background and I'm wondering what this all means. So I really appreciate that you shared with us what it means for you. And I have very few people that I know who are from Guadeloupe or Martinique, who are still dependent on friends in the US. Most of the people that I know from those two islands, of course, or automatic, if they leave the island, they go to France. What brought your family here to the US?
So I chose to come to the US because after my was it la première in Guadeloupe, so in the French system before the last year of high school, went to France to decide which school I was going to go to, and I was like, Mom, Paris is not for me. I do not raise. I love Paris for 5 days, but after that is it. And I said, well, since you don't really know what you really want to do either, how about you go to a country where you can be fluent in English? Because I used to travel every summer to Europe, so England, Spain, and Germany. I also did because I took German as well, and that was an easy for me to say, sure, let's go and travel to another country. And so I had technically a sabbatical year. She asked me if I want to go to England, and I'm sorry, I'm like, no, that doesn't resonate with me. I prefer America. So I came to to Atlanta and be careful what you ask for, because I said, Miami, that's going to be too much like the island. I want a different vibe. The logic of me ending up in Atlanta was not really anything logical. It was more of like it's an easier flight than California. But I wanted a culture shock, and I got that culture shock.
Oh, you get that. Yeah, definitely. Coming from the island, I remember when I left Haiti to come and stay in the US, the difference for me is I used to come here on vacation. And so I was a little familiar with it. But when you're coming to live in the country, totally different thing. It is a culture shock because I used to come on the summer. And when you come to stay, now we have multiple seasons.
Yep. And I came in
Yeah.
the current season, September. So it was like, it's actually 30 years now since I've been here.
Yeah.
And that it was beautiful to see all the seasons. And at the
Yes.
same time, it was very challenging.
Challenging. Yes.
Yeah.
It was for me too. It was for me too. And so you said you do you speak other languages like German
Spanish.
and Spanish?
Well, I took German in high school and I went to Germany. However, that expressionist Dutch, like that way of speaking, did not go with me. Yo prefiero hablar español. It's like more fun and stuff. So I didn't do the German part, but I do speak
Okay.
Spanish. Yeah.
But you
And
speak Spanish
Creole is like the
fluently.
last one. Yes.
Well, I think since you mentioned Creole, I think we're
Uh-oh.
going to do a little Creole. I know our Creole is a little different, but we do understand each other if we pay attention enough. That's my experience. That's my experience. So, what can you qui sont ka di en Creole? Est-ce qu'on comprend ça m'dou là?
Quand comprend son qu'a dit, moi, mes créoles, moi, tellement mal qu'on pas aimer parler créole. Quand comprend les plus, quand qu'a parler. Parce
Okay.
que dans tes cas grandi, c'était pas permis de parler créole. Créole là, t'es seulement pour les ouvriers, les gens qui... Voilà. Okay, we stop there. My brain is like...
So growing up, you were not allowed to
Oh,
express
not to
yourself in
speak
Creole.
Creole. Yeah,
So it was
correct.
really, it was French back home.
Right.
Yeah.
Officially. It's only recently that in the last years that they've started to actually have it. I actually need to look it up. It's part of an official second language, but it's included now in the at least the history, the teachings.
Yeah.
And
In
my
the school.
cousins in the schools, and my cousins much younger, they actually do speak Creole to each other. And even to parents, like to each other, that would be one thing, our peers, but it would be more of expressions versus an actual full conversation. But now they even speak like you said that to your mom. You talk like that. I'm like, that's a shock for me because I did not grow up this way.
Yeah. Yeah. Many families in Haiti had that too. Like you will speak French to your family and you will speak Creole to your friends. But at the schools, I know in school, although me and my friends we would speak Creole amongst us, but I went to a Catholic school and the nun didn't like that. So they wanted us to speak French all the time, but children, we like little rebels, right? So yeah, so we got away with that. So, but I definitely understand. And now we have they turn it into a second language for the country as
Right.
well. So that's definitely the same influence here. And you mentioned your work earlier when you were talking about the Rotary and stuff. So tell us about what you do.
Okay. So what I have been into, because it feels like I'm taking a while to actually say, because it's been 25 years that I have been in the mortgage industry. So it's been, as we know right now, a very challenging world, but that's part of the mortgage industry. Real estate goes through the ebb and flows, the ups and downs, and we are in a very challenging time right now because rates are higher. So it's helping people in transition, understanding where they at, what can they do. It is for some, it is not for others. So that's what I do, is help people go through the transition of owning real estate. I myself, right after I got my first job, bought my first home. So I definitely believe in owning real estate. And then I went the next year, bought a duplex and bought another townhome. I just kept on accumulating real estate. And it's also because of my upbringing. My mother owns a lot of real estate in Guadeloupe, both sides of my family. It's part of my DNA, I would say, real estate. So I actually, though, did not have, I took it for granted, right? Because I was raised in a house. Everybody in my family had a house. So when people were coming and struggling with the idea of going from renting to buy, I'm like, but that's the next step. So I had to actually humble myself and understand the struggle, mostly with the American dream, right? The people that I was helping get through home ownership, some of them were Hispanics, so they were eager to buy that home for all of their family members to be with them. And when it was the other culture, like the African American or the blacks, not Caribbean culture, but the blacks from here, it was like, well, nobody has owned a home. I'm not worthy. Like you can sense that because of their struggle with credit sometimes that I would experience. So different demographics in certain areas would have their struggle, and is being able to empower them that this is the current circumstance. However, it doesn't have to be your reality forever. So when I mentioned earlier about divorce, that's another transition people go through, because I went through a divorce 4 years, almost 5 years now. And that was another transition for me to come to Florida and to realize I really have this desire to help people be empowered, because I've looked, and that's how we connected, you and I, is through Landmark, is through the mindset, like there is light at the end of the tunnel, right? And it's by having the right community, Rotary, other communities that empower for that next step. And I want to be that beacon for people, that light, the lighthouse of like there is possibility, even in those dark times right now, of people who want to buy and not able to qualify. We have programs that I educate, and then we can work on only on what we can control, right? So I focus with them. It's like, but let's focus on what you can control. So all that to say, I'm basically a lender, but to me, it's more than just I'm getting people into a home. There's sometimes mindset shifts. There's sometimes having patience, like you've rented for so long, but we can still work towards that goal.
It's definitely, I can relate to that because I'm in the real estate business, as you know, as well. And I have coach realtors as well in my business. And like, for example, if I were to take a client that I'm working with right now, he is looking for a home, and the amount that he's qualified for, it's very competitive, right? So finding him a home, and it's a challenge. So he's sending me those homes that he cannot, because they are condos that he cannot purchase in those communities, because the condo is not stable, right? The community is not stable. As you know, a lender looks at all of that, right? And so now I said, well, I'm going to find you a property off market. That's the
Yes.
best bet. That's your best bet. So like you, it's like you have to find a way to help the client whichever possible way you can, because the market may be challenging, but that doesn't mean you cannot make it work. You have to
Right.
adjust and adapt, right?
Yes.
And there are other ways as a lender, you know that too, that we can, with the interest rate being high, that there can be ways to get buy downs from the sellers. They'll even assume the seller's mortgage if they have a great interest rate, that on a loan that could be assumed like an FHA or AVA.
Right.
So you find ways around things to make people um, to help people move. Those who have to, because some people can wait, but some people with their life, they cannot wait in the
Right.
current time. So
And
definitely
some
makes sense. Definitely.
and I would say, and I agree with you with everything you said. And those who sometimes can't wait are those who are actually going through maybe a divorce or maybe relocation because of a job or family size, or
Yeah.
apartments right now, who their
Oh,
rent is going so high that they
higher.
can afford, right? So they keep on seeing that spiral up on the rent, and they now start to inquire. So it's that transition piece that I feel is my expertise in listening, connecting with where they at, and helping them think outside the box.
Yeah. And you mentioned the Rotary. Tell me more about that. I know very little about the Rotary.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure I'm not the only one. So let's educate the audience and I
Sure.
and myself.
Of course. So Rotary, the reason I chose, as for what we do, we network, we connect with people. And the reason I chose Rotary as a club for me to connect, network. It's also the fact that this number one is to be of service. And I've gone to Chamber of Commerce and all those events, BNI and all connected, but it's more for business. There's relationship being built, of course, but the idea of we're coming together with the premise of helping a community, helping our community, and the fact that it's international. So I've gone to Guadeloupe and they have clubs there, so I get to visit the clubs there. So there is like that spider effect, right? It's everywhere. But I'm actually going to read the back of it, and it's what we call the four-way test of the things we think and say and do. We look for the truth, right? So we have those basic, I won't say covenant, but premises or this foundation of we're looking for the truth in transactions and when we actually be of service. Is it fair to all concerned? So sometimes in business, it's like, when you negotiating a contract, it's, we're going to have to offer the lower, the best, the deal where, the seller is sometimes taken out of their own profit. And sometimes I had to tell clients, remember, you're going to sell your house at one point, right? So how about we are doing it from a win-win position versus that mindset of like, let's be hungry to the point of taking away from someone. So I love the fact that it's fair to all concerned. Will it build goodwill and better friendships? So when we connect and we do business together and we also have service, it's creating that community. And will it be beneficial to all concerned? So that's one of the four-way tests that we do state at every meeting. My club is in Fort Lauderdale and we meet weekly. Some clubs are social clubs where they meet once a month and they really just focus on one charity for that month. So if there are people on this, this platform listening who have businesses or organizations or nonprofits that they would like to share with me, that I can actually introduce you to my club, we'll love every week to have someone come and present to us. And if it aligns with our mission, with our goal as a club, not as a Rotary International, but as a club, then we sometimes actually take that on as a project.
Okay. Yeah, I used to be, I know Rotary was different than BNI, but I didn't know exactly how, because I used to be a member of a BNI group, which is strictly business and networking. And yes, you can make friends there as well, but it was really a business networking group. So Rotary is different from what you just said. They do support nonprofit organizations that are making a difference, it seems like.
Correct.
Wow, okay.
Right. And
Okay.
the one thing that that's the international part of it is Rotary is to eradicate polio from the earth. So until that is completely done, that is our number one focus. But then each club has, based on what the community needs, based on what our members would like to focus on, then we take on different projects.
Okay. You are also part of a divorce group. Can you tell us a little more about that? Because I'm
Thank you
curious.
for
I am
asking.
a divorcee myself, and I know that's a challenge because it doesn't matter why you divorce. I believe, or that's my perception, that it's a challenge. It can be a challenge for most people, if not all.
Yeah, I did go through a divorce that was, I would say, signing the documents were very smooth. We agreed, but it was still a challenge. There could be that emotional challenge. There could be
Exactly.
for some the financial challenge, and with the kids and all that. So the NADP, which is the National Association of Divorce Professional, is a national organization. We do have more clubs. I would say Texas, New York, Florida. There is, I think, one in Atlanta. So it's national, but the one that I'm a member of, and this was a little bit of a challenge for myself, is to actually meet in a group where they speak French. So mine is a French speaking, so francophone,
Donc, on
NADP.
devrait s'exprimer un peu en
Un peu en
français.
français, non? Je suis justement devenue directrice du club en ce moment. Où,
D'accord.
donc, il y a les 4 pillars, et ça sera du franglais, jusqu'à ce que je retienne vraiment tous les mots, comme on disait, que parfois, comme on fait business et les autres affaires et tout sont en anglais, très souvent, les mots,
C'est ça.
les traduire, c'est pas toujours évident. Donc, j'ai mon translator juste à côté, juste au cas où.
C'est parce
Donc,
qu'on a vécu pendant des années aux
ouais,
États-Unis, donc on pense en anglais d'abord. Parce que moi, je ne
exactement.
pense plus en français, donc je dois traduire. Il y a des mots qui me viennent à l'esprit automatiquement, mais parfois on doit y penser pour pouvoir traduire. Donc,
Ou
je
encore,
comprends.
je mets un mot qui est anglais, je prétends que c'est un mot français, alors que ma mère me dit, ah, Kristel, c'est pas en français, ça. Donc, c'est assez marrant. En fait, j'ai créé un nouveau dictionnaire qui s'appelle Guadaméricain, c'est américain en même temps Guadeloupe. Et donc, tous
C'est
les mots
ça, c'est
existent
ça.
dans mon calendrier. Donc, il y a 4 pillars, et un, c'est la loi. Donc, la loi par les avocats. Donc, c'est un groupe de professionnels qui s'entraident de collaboration pour pouvoir aider ceux qui sont en transition et en situation de divorce. Donc, il y
Mhm.
a les avocats, donc le droit. Il y a aussi real estate, donc ce que toi et moi nous faisons. Donc, real estate agent, agent immobilier, ainsi que agent hypothécaire comme moi. Il y a aussi financial, donc les finances, que ça soit forensic accountants, donc I can't think of that words right now.
You can say it in English when it comes to mind.
Yeah, it was no, forensic accountants. So c'est comme quelqu'un qui veut investiguer.
Okay.
Whatever. Investigate
Investigator?
all of the assets, right?
Okay.
All of the assets, and that's a forensic accountant. Yeah, aussi the financial advisors. Donc, dans le financial side, it can be different parts of finances. Bankers also a part of the group, and then you also have your mental health, right? Because je parle en français. La partie mentale, c'est vraiment pour l'aider par rapport aux enfants. Par rapport, il y a collaborative divorce, so there's a specific law of collaborative. Donc, d'avoir quelqu'un qui aide au niveau du mental, c'est vraiment aider les gens à s'exprimer de façon à que ce ne soit pas de façon confronting, you know, because divorce, it's so confronting, it's so triggering, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
it's a way for them to help bridge that disconnect and get to one common goal, which is to divorce in a collaborative, to divorce in a way that is beneficial to all, almost like the Rotary, where it's really as much as possible beneficial to all. And very often the kids as being placed first versus the parents having their own issues, and the kids sometimes I won't say forgotten, but that's sometimes not a priority because of, you know, we're human, that emotional part.
And you meet once a month,
yes,
right?
So my club meets once a month on via Zoom. So the first Wednesday of each month at 12 o'clock. So anyone who is a professional who would like to learn more, we're actually going to have an informational session on November 1st at 12 o'clock. It will be in English. So if you are francophone and that's something of interest, or you just want to learn more about the NEDP, feel free to join, reach out to me or Isabel, and we will talk about what NEDP does and also how we're looking to be of service to the people who are francophone, Canadian, Haitians, Guadeloupe, who need that cultural connect in those moments of hard time and transition. Sometimes even if we live in the US for so long, the fact that the person is from the same island or from a place that feels warmth to us, it helps that community.
Yeah, you can connect in different ways when you have that when you have those similarities. Definitely. And to segue into Guadeloupe, now I've never been to Guadeloupe.
Except the airport for transition Air France.
I was actually like researching on Guadeloupe. I do have friends, but they all live in Martinique. And so what can you tell us about Guadeloupe? Like what's the best city that you would, if somebody wants to go on vacation, which city should we go to? Or cities? I have an accent, of course. Well, you know that. Plural, I'm trying to do the plural, and then the accent, I can hear my accent sometimes. And so where would you advise us to go visit first?
Well, I would say it depends on the person's interest, because Guadeloupe is 2 islands connected by a bridge. So that's the butterfly shape, right? And then there are some surrounding islands. And a lot of the cruise ships end up going to Les Saintes. Okay, Les Saintes is a dependence of Guadeloupe, and it's on the south side of the islands. That island is my favorite and my family's favorite because my grandfather is from there, and you need a ferry to get there. And it's small, it's by foot, and there are a few cars, some scooters, but it's really more of it's a fisherman village, right? So you arrive, it's when the boat arrives at the port, there's a warmth to the island of Les Saintes. There is you do need to have good shoes because you do walk around a lot.
A lot of walking.
Yes, a lot of walking, unless you get your golf cart or your scooter. And it's just like that one place I would say my whole family on my mom's side, it's our heart, it's our paradise, it's our memories. Now the other parts of Guadeloupe, so you have Bastia, which is the part that is going to be more your volcano, your waterfalls, your more of a green environment. So that would be Bastia. And in Grande Terre, which is where I'm from, where you arrive, aux Abîmes, where I'm actually from.
Where are you from exactly?
Les Abîmes.
Les Abîmes, d'accord.
So when you look up Guadeloupe, to go to Guadeloupe, it's actually Pointe-à-Pitre. However, the plane actually lands aux Abîmes, so it's very sister island, very close cities. And it's
oui, parce que Pointe-à-Pitre, c'est très connu.
Oui, donc c'est Pointe-à-Pitre, c'est le centre et tout, mais en fait, la ville la plus grande et la plus occupée, I just went to French, sorry, c'est les Abîmes.
Oh, ça va.
Just realized I just went to French. So, les Abîmes, c'est la ville qui a plus de population, c'est la ville la plus grande, l'hôpital qui sont en train de construire, le CHU. So that one is more of a busy city. It's going to be well, you find basically everything. That's where you arrive, and that's where you're going to depart from if you're coming by plane, anyways. And then the island has on that it's flatter on La Partie de Grande Terre. It's flatter. You have your cliffs. You have it's different. It's different on both sides. So it depends on what you're called for to visit and
to
enjoy.
visit.
Yeah. If it's the beach, I would say it's going to be more of Grande Terre because it's the
D'accord.
water is a bit different. So it depends on
Yeah.
your vibe.
I was looking on my other screen to understand as you were talking, to understand it better. Yeah. And I'm going to tell you something I didn't know it was the shape of a butterfly, because I'm not familiar with Guadeloupe at all. So I'm just learning and I'm happy to learn. That's
Yeah,
great.
thanks for letting me, share about Guadeloupe. And from my perspective, from my eyes and the heart that I have, although I've become American from being here so long, there's definitely that roots because I'm actually the only person in my family from both sides of my parents who live in the US. I have no other family here. So, I always call forth home is Guadeloupe. Yeah.
Yeah. So your family is either in Guadeloupe or in France?
I do have family in Canada, L'Île Maurice, and other parts. However, definitely mostly Guadeloupe and in France. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, we Haitian all over the place. Yeah, so we definitely there's a large population in France, of course, and in Canada as well. Because Canada actually very often goes to Haiti to recruit. I wouldn't say recruit, to invite Haitian to relocate
Interesting.
in
Cool.
Canada, and a lot of people do that because in Quebec, they get it's very familiar territory because they are francophone. So
Right.
at least from the language side of views, it's easier for them to restart somewhere that already speaks the language that they know. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
and
great.
when you're saying that, there was something that came to mind for me as to the challenge because we first started a little bit of that challenge because when I volunteer in Guadeloupe and I speak at my brother's school, he's a teacher, and the kids always excited because you're coming from America and they want to know more, and they think it's all. And it's beautiful to be here. I mean, I love my being Americanized now and being here in the U.S. But the start is you have to know you got to go through the challenge. And I would say that challenge for me was culturally, but also not knowing where I fit because there wasn't the group of Guadeloupean. Like there are definitely Haitian clubs and groups, but coming from Guadeloupe, it's French, it's island, it's all of that. And then at the same, so I in college it was more the Caribbean that I gravitated towards. And then when I went to school. I'm sorry, I started working. I serviced the Hispanic market. So then I was more with the Hispanics, the Puerto Ricans. So being here has actually made me very diverse in that sense of connecting with different cultures. And I never felt at home though until I moved to Fort Lauderdale. Fort
Ah,
Lauderdale with the
what is
palm
that?
trees, the water, the ocean, it really I felt home. In Atlanta, it was more of one step after another because of immigration. I just kept on marriage and also life unfolded in Atlanta, and I'm grateful for that life, right? But when I moved to Florida, I'm like, wow, and not just anywhere in Florida, right? South Florida is different.
Mhm.
Fort Lauderdale being close to the water, the easy access to go to Guadeloupe. For me, environment makes a big difference in how I vibrate, how I my energy is.
Yeah, because I know I totally can relate because when I left Haiti, I moved to New York first. And it was not easy. I didn't speak a word of English, even though I used to come here on vacation, but I didn't need to speak because I was with my family. You get to capture a few words here and there, but nothing major to be fluent. And but when you came here, you had to become fluent, and it was a challenge. I used to cry every day. Although there were a lot of Haitians around me, but I missed home, and because I loved my home, I had a beautiful upbringing and I missed that. But the country was started to go into a um chaotic life that kept getting worse, kept getting worse. I remember calling home and say, "Can I go back? Can I come back?" They would say, "No, you can't come back. You can't come back. It's not getting any better." And I feel really blessed and I'm grateful that I was able to come to the US when I came. And I left New York because I'm an island girl and I wanted the warm weather. And I came to Florida because of that, and also closer to Haiti as well. Closer to Haiti as well. So I totally can relate, and I can definitely understand what you're saying. It's it's different. It's different here, you know. And where did you learn Spanish? You learned when
In
before you
school.
came to the US or when you were in
So,
Georgia?
uh, all of those actually. So in school,
Okay.
I chose English as my first second language, I guess, and then I do Spanish and I did German. But I was also my
Wait a second. When you said, I'm sorry to interrupt. When you said in school, talking about when you were in Guadeloupe?
middle school, yes. Since
Okay.
middle school, I started middle school English, and then I did Spanish, and then I did German. Yeah,
Okay.
I German just did not connect. But the reason why I was learning and getting good with the language is because every summer, you know, how you said you came to the U.S., so my mother actually would send my brother and I to a foreign family. Basically, it wasn't an exchange, but it was a séjour linguistique. So you basically staying with a local family and having classes in the morning and the afternoon visiting the country. So every summer, that's what I did, and I did England, I did or US, and then Spain, and one time Germany.
Okay.
So that's
So you
how I
had to
got with the
learn.
languages exactly.
If you're
Yeah,
living with a family, that's a
you,
plus.
you do
That's a
have to
plus.
learn. Yes.
Yeah.
And then coming
Yeah.
to Georgia, the lady that I was with, my host family, she wanted to watch the soap operas in Spanish. So I got to practice more Spanish than English when I first came here. So
That's really fun. That's really fun. Yeah, yeah, it's really nice way to learn different languages. Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. And so you love Fort Lauderdale and
I
you
do.
we got to go out because now that you live in Fort Lauderdale, we got to go out and we got to meet and which was lovely. It was really nice. And Fort Lauderdale is a vibrant city.
It is.
It's very vibrant, a very, very nice place to live. I'm a little bit further north than you are, and
Mhm.
but we're not too far from each other. And
Yeah.
it's always nice to see you. Yeah. So to conclude, I would love to ask you what are your plans for the next 5 to 10 years?
So that's I won't say a loaded answer. I'm always in transition. I'm always growing. I'm very much in spirituality, connecting with how to become my best next version, right? While still being grateful for who I am today. And that's that constant evolution. So in 5 or 10 years, I'll be curious to know what that would look like. However, my intention is to have a philanthropy where to be a philanthropist because all that I've gained here in the US to me is something that I get to bring back to Guadeloupe. It's always a joy for me when I go back and I go in my brother's classes and the kids being excited to learn more. So for me, it's what can I teach? What can I share? Because I definitely, from the few and a lot of things that we covered, there's definitely an experience there that I feel like people who leave the island after high school to go to France to study, or even kids who stay. Sometimes, at least that was my situation where I didn't know who I wanted to be, and I'm still unfolding, right? Of that, who is Kristel? So is that journey, and I want to be able to to be a philanthropist in the sense of a mindset school. I've because of the language of English, I feel like there's so much available to us on YouTube with all those teachers. I don't know how much of that is truly available in French, for the generation to learn in the francophone, or actually for just French speaking. So it's for me to be able to definitely develop more my French so that I can have an organization, a school to teach the mindset, to teach also a level of customer service. I feel like in the island we definitely need to learn a little bit more to me customer service because my mother always reminds me when I get to Guadeloupe, in the US, this is not how it goes. So for me, in 5 or 10 years, it would really be having a legacy to know that I've impacted the youth in Guadeloupe. And by me impacting the youth in Guadeloupe is impacting the rest of the community, their parents, their family members. So that's raising the vibration, elevating the current circumstances of the islands and specifically Guadeloupe.
Yeah, and I know, was it last year that you went and spent a month in Guadeloupe? Was it last year or the year before?
I actually do that every year. I did
Oh,
this
you do
year.
that every year.
I did in May because my grandmother turned 100. And previous years, yes. As I was going through my divorce, I actually started going back home because, the reality is my whole family's there. My parents do age, and my mom visits a lot, but um, I never wanted to necessarily cut that tie, even though I'm comfortable here. So, yeah, I do go home and spend time with family as much as possible, sometimes 30 days.
Yeah, and if you did that while you were going through a divorce, it must have been so uplifting to have them surround you while you're going through so much.
So actually, I did not tell them I was going through a divorce because
They
I did
didn't
not
know.
want, no, I didn't want feedback from others, because it was already challenging. And I just
Yeah,
feel like out of love, sometimes they create more fear and doubts. So when
yeah,
I went, they actually did not know. And
Oh,
it was actually perfect for me because I just wanted to feel loved and not like, are you okay? Can we do? Are you gonna be okay? Because after they knew, they were like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, yeah, I'm getting there." So I chose to not
do not
share that,
tell
except for
them.
my brother. Except for my brother. Now there was some upsetness about it because my mom felt like I should have, and I get that. And this was more for me to. I had community helping me, but I didn't want necessarily feedback from those who love me and creating fear and doubt because I was already moving forward.
Yeah, yeah. So they didn't know, but were you going more often while you and their presence did help in whichever way you
Yes,
needed it to help you.
exactly. Yes.
Because even though they didn't know, yeah.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
was
because
filling
when
my
I go
heart because
home, it's the
that was
same.
taken. The people
Yeah.
didn't marry, so at least I was filling up that way. Yes.
Yeah, the last time I went home, it's been a few years now, actually too long, but I don't plan on going back anytime soon because of the way the capital is, and that's where I'm from. And I remember when I went, it felt so good to be home. You can
I can
relate
imagine.
because
Yeah.
yeah, even though I love my life here, and going home, nothing can replace that.
Hmm.
Nothing. It's like, it was perfect. It was perfect. So it's something many of us would love to experience. I'm so happy that you get to experience that every year because it's really it's good to go home.
It
It's
is.
good to go home. Yeah, yeah.
And I'm grateful for technology because that has helped, the WhatsApp. And also I don't have anymore that discover when I arrive at the airport like I used to at first. Like, that's your mom, and I'll hold her face. Now it's like, oh, I saw you this morning before I took the plane. So technology has helped bridge that gap, but it's so different to, we
Yeah.
kiss. We don't necessarily hug, but we kiss, and it's just, being with my grandmother who's 100, and just, yeah, it's amazing. It's different.
Definitely amazing experience. And we are building this platform for all Creoles and all friends of Creole. So it's not limited, so it's open to all. And but with a focus on the Creole culture. And we come from different islands. We come from, some of us are not even on an island, like the people in Louisiana. They are not from an island, but they do have the Creole background as well. So how would you advise us? I'd like to ask people's opinion and to get other people's perception as well of how to build this. How would you advise us to build a platform to support this dream that we have, this vision that we have to support all Creole and then connect with all Creoles?
So to me, it's like we do a loop, right? We start somewhere, we start a journey, and then something, like I said, I want to give back to the islands. To me, it's sharing who we are with a platform like yours, where we get an opportunity to share that side that we don't necessarily talk about, because we go through our daily lives. So taking a break and having those moments, like I actually took notes of like, what am I going to connect with? You kind of take a break from the everyday of who you are being. And to me, by sharing and connecting, and if it resonates, then reaching out to that person and start collaborating. To me, it's collaboration as we resonate, and as someone as connected as you are, to uplift and bring the light, right? That spotlight on the person, because we didn't know that that person was doing such and such, and that resonates with us. So I think that's how, you know, even by you asking me, we're talking about it in Creole, I'm like, how do I connect us being Creole? Like, I had to ask myself, because again, we move forward with life, and sometimes we need that disruption. And so I'm grateful for that disruption in a good way, right? Disruption to like take a moment to talk and think about the roots, and sharing those roots, those journeys, because my journey, yours, even though we have a lot of similarities, there are others who don't, and it's just beautiful to share, because through sharing and speaking, it sometimes there's this aha moments, and it's healing.
Yeah, like this is sharing is caring as well.
That's sharing space, yes.
Well, Kristel, I'm so happy we got to have that conversation, our candid conversation. And we do have a Facebook group as well. And if the audience wants to join our group, just look for Candid Creoles on Facebook, and you can join us. And on Instagram, you can also connect on Candid Creole as well. And I'd love to ask Kristel, how do we connect with you? If anybody wants to connect with you and would love to use your services as well, or just connect as a Creole from one Creole to another, how do they connect with you?
So really, it's easy by looking up my name, so Kristel Kenny Keat. My website for the company CMG will pop up, but also Facebook. So social media. On Instagram, I am Linda on the go, because I'm always traveling. I'm always visiting new places. So that's why it's Linda on the go. But Kristel Kenny Keat just can be.
We do. Okay. Well, that's great. And I would love everybody to connect with Kristel. She gave you how the information on how to connect with her. And also, we're going to have this video posted on YouTube. So please subscribe to our channel and also click like and comment, and then let us know how you would like to connect with in other ways, or any ideas. Welcome your ideas. And as always, I'd like to say peace for all, and let's connect the Creole culture and love for all.
Love it. Thank you.
Ciao. Merci encore. À bientôt.
Merci. Merci.
D'accord.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.